dilution, sindio? It is the most important thing because most of the time we go into conversations without realizing what the effect of these towards my shareholding. So I'm happy that we've started that. I do not expect us to fully get it today, but once we do, I think things will get better as we go on. At the point you start bringing in more people, then you maybe need also a little bit of technical support. But in any case, as I promised, this year expect a framework, a legal framework guide or document that should be able to give you this level of guidance. It's not something we can handle in an afternoon or in a morning. But I think this should be more than what you guys studied. Senior? Yeah? So hopefully I can get a professor title along the way. Anyway, I want to start with a series of questions. Probably we won't get into the presentation first. We will get into something. Now, pull your phones or your laptops, get into Mentimeter and enter this code. The code is 75674218. Muko ndani? So we're in mentimeter.com. If you're in, let me see by a show of hands. All right. So you're in. Who is not in? All right. I'm giving you in seconds form. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We can get started, sindio? I'm not sure why it's not moving. So I think I got a series of questions in the morning, and some of you were requesting or throwing in questions about IP. So this session is purely about IP. As you join in, please join mentimeter.com and use the code on the board. So the first question, in your own words, I know some of you are squinting. I hope you can read to some extent. What is one word that comes into mind when you think about IP? Someone says calm. Someone says Dale. Please define Dale. Infinity. What's the one thing that comes into mind? You hear IP. Ownership. Patents, trademarks, copyrights, rights, protection. Ownership is getting bigger. Patents. Copyrights are coming in. All right. Hey, money, wealth. I like these ones. Safety. Yeah. All right. Worth. Belonging, business. Is a risk factor. Innovation, projects. Shares. Watu wameanza ku split shares. The origin. Life. Yeah. Ownership is clearly still leading. Slowly followed by protection and risk. But tunaziona. So you all want to own something from what you've created. Sindio? There's originality as well. So has anyone not responded? As you join in, please join mentimeter.com. We are making this afternoon much more active. We want to make sure that the warus you ate are digested. All right, now let's get into the second question. Describe your innovation or idea in one sentence. What are you building? Just in one sentence. Keep it brief. Someone is, okay, I said one sentence, not one word, but even that is fine. I don't know, changing what? Platform and community, real-time solutions for healthcare, management tool, Transforming plastic wood into sustainable construction material. That's good. Security, African brand. All right. Achieving financial freedom. So somebody is building a fintech. Someone is building healthcare communication. Innovation and creativity. I don't know what that would entail. Maybe we can click on space to group them. We have a lot of healthcare. Okay. So your numbers are coming in. No, it's okay. We can just go back. I think it's just go back to responses. Africa brand. At least 73 of you have put in your responses. We can put a pause on this. I know you're more than that. Now, if you noticed from the previous slide, some of you were building some things that look similar. Sindo? Moment notice. I think we can just quickly scroll down or up. If you notice, some of these things are similar, right? So now the question then is, the second question, what makes your innovation unique? Select either of this. What is so unique about it? So you all said you're building something that is innovative. What is so unique about it? What is that value proposition? Did you guys discuss value proposition yesterday? Yeah? Okay, so what is that value proposition? Some are saying, I think on the lead is new processes or method. Maybe what you're doing is you've innovated around processing or just anything around that. Someone is saying maybe what existed there was manual and now you're creating a platform out of it. Yeah. Some are saying it's a creative brand or it's the name. Others are saying we'll discuss. Now, which of these do you think you might be able to protect? I think 61 of you responded and you continue to respond, but moving on to the next question, which of these do you think you might be able to protect using IP? Based on what you've said that is unique and all that, and about the product you have, select, is it your product name or your service name? Some of you guys are not even responding. Mi naona tu mmejishika hivi. Like, tuko pamoja. Are we together, guys? Tunataka kulearn. Do you want to learn ama we close it early? We learn. So majority of you are saying that my product design or appearance. Others are saying a unique method or process. What are you able to protect my app and software? Others, you're saying your business name. So the numbers are coming in with the lead being your product design and appearance. I'll say what that means in a bit. Closely followed by product name and logo. How many of you have logos? All right. So we will pause on this, don't respond on that. We'll come back to it. Let's, I think, go to the presentation. Remember, we have our lead on my product design and appearance. I would want us to see whether your thoughts are still the same after we discuss matters of IP and whether this changes. So just to remind you, my name is Wangeshi. It hasn't changed since morning. I've moved from legal to IP. I'm the author of this book. Remember in the morning I said I'm releasing a book. So this afternoon I'm saying I've authored a book. It's called The Innovator's Guidebook for IP Protection. And it is available on, I'm trying to see if I can click on it. Am I able to? I think I'll come to the book later. For some reason I can't click on it. Yeah, but I'll come to the book later. But this is a book that is available online for you to download, for you to consume, and for you to learn about it. I think it's coming in a bit. Yeah, we can maybe put it on presenter mode. Just so that I quickly go through it. You can click presenter mode there. Perfect. Right. So this is a book. So I will quickly take you through it, scroll, and then it's not part of my presentation. So I just want you to see how easy it will be for you to get this book to read, learn, internalize. It is free for you. And we wrote it in partnership with Kenya and the UK government, British High Commission and British Council. But the first overview of it is you'll understand what IP means, the different types of IP, copyright and the likes, and I'm getting into that. Good, clear examples of it. It is very photographic, as you can see. We are using Kenyan examples. This should be an easier book to read than the books you have in your library. Yes or no? Munayona? It is very colorful. It is very easy to scroll through. And so I just wanted to show you so that you don't have it in your book and then assume this is going to be a very long book to read. It is not. Simnaziona. And then guess how far Simnana examples, Java and the likes. Guess how long it takes for me to get to the end. I am literally almost at the end. And you'll have learned everything IP. So will you consider the book? All right, so we can get into the presentation. All right. So today's session, we want to discuss three main things, actually four. The first one being the types of IP that exist. You've seen, like you may have given an overview of what you'd want to design or to register or protect, but I want you to see where they fall under. The second one is why you should protect. And the third thing being this very specific subject matter you're working on. And the fourth thing is how to make IP work for you, the financials of it. I'll start with the rationale for protection because this is where you start with. Why should you bother protecting your IP? In the morning, we were saying why should you bother registering your company? Si lazima register anyway, whether you like it or not, if you have to get into investment. When it comes to IP, they tell you si lazima, right? The choice is yours. It's a choice of business. But then it stops becoming a choice when you realize you pitch something and then you find it in the market a few months later. We've all heard of those stories, right? You realize it's no longer a choice when you sat down with your co-founders, you created something, you co-standard, and then they went build it, and then they went launched it, and you're not part of it. Have you heard those stories? Right? You realize it's no longer a choice when you're trying to negotiate for a deal and it doesn't come through, and the people you are negotiating the deals with take your business, register, and create whatever product you are taking and take it to the market. Yeah? So IP is not a choice, but it is also a choice. It's a choice for you to decide how serious will you take your business. So the first thing about the rationale for IP is normally something called fairness. I think we are experiencing some technical challenges, but we will proceed with that. It is something called fairness. You want to be fair to the inventor or to the creator of your business. Yeah? So if you've come in and you have an idea and you're sitting down with the rest of your groups, it is only fair that if it is your concept and you're building it, you get something out of it, including if you're going to have business transactions with people, right? Sindio? So the first thing it creates is fairness. The second thing, it creates a value, an economic value. So we give it as an incentive. If all you did was create and give it to the world and you're not getting anything out of it, do you continue to have the psych and incentive to do it? So the first time you do it for vibes, yeah? The second time for inshallah, what is the third time for? You're no longer there. Sindio? Tuko pamoja? Okay. So the second rationale is for economic value. You want to give incentives to the people who created it. The third rationale for IP protection is public benefit. Now, who can tell me when your safety belts were invented? And who invented them? Na musiangalie ChatGPT. Nani? Quick one. Okay. Which company or brand registered? Volvo, which year? 1958. Okay, any other? Yeah, 1959, correct. Volvo registered that the patent of a safety belt in 1959. Now, what they did not do is they did not take any financial value out of it. They wanted it for public safety. Yeah? But if you notice your safety belts, most of them, if you pull them, including ones for Volvo, they will tell you since 1959, we pay homage to when Volvo created it and give it to the world. Sindio? So that's a good example. So one, you could be building new products or technologies. The second one is if you disclose it, it is good for public benefit. For case in point, when you're doing patents, and I'm getting into patents in a bit, you have to disclose. So when I asked what IP means to you, some of you said patents. How many times do you hear patent your name? Umesikia mtu amesema, will you patent your name? Yeah, umesikia? All right. So patents do not exist to names, but let's discuss each IP protection at a time. The most famous one is a patent. Yeah? So when you're creating something new, let's start with the innovators in the room. If you're inventing the wheel, we say sometimes we don't invent, we reinvent the wheel. But if you're inventing the wheel, you're creating something completely new, a new solution to a problem that's existing. So that's why we ask, is it something new? Yeah? Then you may fall under the category of a patent. It could be a process, it could be a method, or it could be a product. Okay? A good example of a patent that was registered in Kenya is a mobile field kitchen. So the KDF, while they were going to Somali, needed a mobile kitchen. And they created this sort of design and registered it as a patent. So when it comes to patent, one thing we say is that the invention belongs to, I think when it comes to patent, the invention belongs to the IP belongs to the inventor, unless it is commissioned for an organization or a team or transferred. So it is first come, first serve. So if you are building, you remember now why I said amongst your co-founders, you need to sign off your IP rights. If the two of you are deciding to design a prototype for this, and you didn't agree, and you went separate ways, and then I decided to go to keep it with this product, who will be registered? It's me. You, the co-founder, litembea, and maybe idea ilikuwa yake. Of course, there are cases where you can come in and justify that the invention wasn't mine and there was outright theft, but some of the ways in which you prove it is through a clear agreement because you had it. Otherwise, I will run register. So when it comes to patent, you register a patent by first proving that one, it is new, two, it is industrially applicable. Can you manufacture it? Can you reprocess it? Can you take it to the market? Okay. And then you go through KIPI, an organization called KIPI, that's the Kenya Intellectual Property Institute. It gives you protection for 20 years, but with an annual renew. Yeah. Okay. And it gives you exclusive rights. So the exclusive rights, regardless of who you are, and as long as it's within the jurisdiction that you're operating in. So if you're in Kenya, it will give you exclusive rights in Kenya. So if you need to operate in another region, you need to go and protect it there. You can license it, of course. Another good example of a patent is this cockroach killer. Has anyone come across it? Has anyone come across this? And I'm not saying kwenu mko na cockroaches, but I'm just saying kama umeiona taka ni supermarket. Kuna mtu ameiona? Hamjaiona? Hey, you guys, you have no idea how good you are because pia tuko na rat killers. But anyway, this was invented in 1996 by a young lady called Anne Chepkonga. She filed this patent and got it a grant in 1998. Okay? So you see how long it takes? It's around 2 years. Yeah? But because of that, this product has gone on to have hata zile sprays. The company has gone on to create other things out of it. But this was the very first invention that Anne created. Okay? So remember what I said? You have to, of course, the first thing is you submit your patent application through Kipi. You have to describe every single thing about your patent when you're filing, or about your invention when you're filing. Has to be written down, and it must meet these 3 steps. New, it is inventive, and it is capable of being made or used in an industrial capacity. Those 3 steps. Now, because of step number 2, description, now here comes the warning with patents. You do not go explaining every technical thing about your invention to the world until you file for a patent. Why? Because you're considered to have done public disclosure, which limits your access. In short, what I'm saying is you have decided to open source it. Okay? So when you're going to expose, and somebody is documenting every single journey, and you're there describing it as it removes, then you add, and this, you can explain something without going to the technicalities. Sisemi musionyeshane. Get me right. But don't get technical, because the moment it gets technical, you lose your right to disclosure. And you're told, when you go to file, they tell you, this already exists in the public domain, so you can no longer file it. Sawa? And it is the only form of IP that has this. The rest, musikuwe na wasiwasi. When it comes to softwares, we also do patent for softwares. A good example is M-Pesa. It is registered as a software patent in 2007. The first registration, the first application was done in 2005. They tried doing a patent application in Kenya. They couldn't because we didn't have software patenting then. So we've been doing a lot of software patenting since. It is rare that softwares get into patents because majority of it's not completely new anyway, unless you're talking about blockchain. At the initial concept of blockchain, it was new, so you register it as that. M-Pesa was the first fintech doing this level of transaction. So again, it is new. So if you're building on top of it, is it new anyway? It's no longer new. So you will fit into the second example. As I mentioned, you can see the cockroach kill has gone on to create other things. But alongside it is, you'll notice here, there's a word there, trademark, but I'll get into it. Now, patents, I said it gives you protection for how many years? 20 years. But then supposing you're inventing something that doesn't exactly fit into the patenting regime, or it's not so new, or it may have somehow missed an opportunity within the 3 descriptions that I gave a patent, it doesn't mean it can no longer be protected. We have something called a lesser patent, or a utility design, or a utility model, depending on what jurisdictions. In Kenya, we say utility model. And so what they do is they, again, are inventions or innovations that are geared towards protecting the same things that would fall under patent, but they are not too highly meeting into those qualifications. A good example of this is the Jiko. You've seen this Jiko somewhere? Has anyone used this? Okay, so at least hapo agree, right? So you file for a utility model the same route as you do a patent. And of course, you're going to still do the same description with claims, and you'll have to do drawings. Even for a patent, you have to do drawings, yeah? Protection is less. Remember, this is a lesser patent. So it gives you 10 years protection. Obviously gives you exclusivity of right of use and of sale within this jurisdiction. You can always take financial and legal advantages to it, just a similar way. Another example of a utility design or a utility model that has been registered in Kenya is a portable burner device. I don't know how many of you have used this. These are like your tabletop jikos, your tabletop cookers. Has any of you used something like this? Students who are in hostels. The 4 burners or the 2 burners. Has anyone used this? Yeah, so that's a good design. Now, still on the invention. So amongst the ones who say that you have something to protect, does anyone feel like something fits into either a patent or a utility model? By show of hands. By the way, it doesn't have to be the examples that I said. It could be over and above. You feel like whatever it is that you're building could be a patent or a utility model. By show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. A good number of you. It is not the end of it. Some of you could be building something that fits into this and may not be realizing, but I'll allow you also consume the book and see more examples. Now, I will go to example number 2. Let me use the examples of the water bottles that we have near us, the ones that are on the dispenser. Mnaona kila mtu angalia dispenser near them. So you can see the shape. Any water dispenser, you can see a water dispenser near you, sindio? You can see the shape, eh? Now, face this way and then I ask a question. How many of you have had a Coca-Cola bottle, a Coca-Cola soda? Mmekunywa chupa ama soda ya Coca-Cola? Mmekunywa nyinyi wote? Mmeona hiyo shape? You've all seen the shape? How does it look? Is it distinctive? Can you be able to identify it from a distance? I can see someone in a chora number 9. So it's okay. Is it distinctive? Can you identify it if it didn't have the name? Right. How many of you have worn a shoe called Tafiz? The Tafiz shoes. Meva. I mean, it used to be the epitome of class in my days. I don't know about it nowadays, but in my days, if you want a Tafiz shoe, you made it. But anyway, all these are shapes. For some of you who are building your product, remember we started with inventing. So you've invented something, Sindio? So you're creating, you've invented something. It either falls under a patent or a utility model, right? It could also fall under other things, but you want to package it or you want to define a very distinctive shape of it. Case in point, the shape of the chair that you're sitting in, yeah? The shape the features that it looks, or even a combination of the same, falls under an industrial design. It looks at the attractiveness and appeal. It is meant for business. It is meant for marketing purposes. Now, I've given other examples that exist here. Perfume bottles. How many are into cosmetics? 1. So maybe you need to look at it too. Ceiling boards. These are some of the things locally find here. Blister packs and the likes. All these are good examples. So you also protect them through keeping. The method is a bit different, but not too far. Is you're filing your submissions, you have to have a graphical representation of the same. Again, it's almost like how you do your logo. So you have to submit your logo. So even for this, you have to do the same, and you can use photographs. They need to be of what it is that you're filing. They will have to check whether there's a similar design that exists at the point of filing. If there isn't, then they give you protection. The protection exists for 5 years, renewable up to 3 other times. So it will have those features, your shape, your color, all these things. Huh? So the reason why I said a good example of the butter tafiz, who have won butter tafiz by show of hand? All right. So Umoja shoes had something similar. Nani amevaa Umoja? Sorry, I remember some of you may not speak Swahili. How many of you have worn this a similar looking shape from Umoja? Okay, 1 or 2, so at least. So the two companies have been at loggerheads over who really owns the design of that tafiz. And as of 3 weeks ago, Bata lost that case because it's just a design, hadn't gone to the point of protecting it, and other people, even outside Kenya, were doing it. Okay? So that's just an example. You have a unique design. Please don't just go to the market. Protect it. If big brands are fighting for their brand, who are you not to? Yeah? But anyway, for the butter, they lost that case, unfortunately. Then, as you can see, we're now getting into the business. Among us, you guys who are responding to what it is that you're protecting, anyone who feels that what it is that you're doing fits into the industrial design? Any? By show of hands? 1? Okay, just 1. And guys, it is good to be brave. Yvonne could be an investor in the room. And she'll be like, I can take it. Anyway, trademarks. Now, this one, I was very surprised that you all didn't click it. If you have a logo for your brand, let me see your hand. You have a logo. Okay, good. You have a brand name. Let me see your hand. What is the purpose of that? It is for your consumers to identify you. Sindio? Yeah? So how do you register it? Some of you, we register it as a business name or a company name in eCitizen, and then they stop there. Yes or no? Sindio? So I'll tell you that is not where it stops. You go a step higher, you go to the Kenya Industrial Property Institute, keep it, and you register a trademark. Why? A trademark is a very distinctive sign that helps you identify or helps people identify the goods and services from a mile away. It will distinguish what you're offering and what what your competitor next door is offering. Case in point, now this one I want to see the young ones and the old ones. Who's come across an X, Ungai X? Good. The car enthusiast, who can identify a Mercedes logo there? Good. You remember the names like Keringet Water, Dasani Water, Jogo, Safaricom, right? You remember these things? iPad. So they may have a logo. If you look at MacBooks, they all have that beaten apple. You try and trade and create something similar. You'll be surprised how fast they landed in Kenya. Yeah? But even their brand names, MacBooks, iPad, they also protected the name itself. Does any of this look familiar? When we say the pride of Africa, who do we refer to? KQ. When we say my country, my beer? Yeah? Sorry? Oh, none of you know. Yeah. Yeah, these are the young ones. So for some of us who've been there longer, our ears are showing it means my Tusker. Tusker, my country, my beer. All right. How many of you have consumed Red Bull? Red Bull comes to your university's events all the time. Sindio? Yeah? But once upon a time, somebody produced a product and called it Dead Bull. Yeah, of course, with no wings. But you can see some similarities, yeah? Yeah? So what would happen to your brand if whatever brand you were doing, and you're saying the pride of Africa, and somebody says the curse of, just think about it. Or I'm not saying we say it, but just think about it. So it will have a way of mocking and diluting your brand. So you want to protect your brand from these things, from people infringing against it. So how do you do it? You protect through the same institute that we've been referring to called KIPI, the Kenya Industrial Property Institute. When you file for a trademark, it takes around 60 to 90 days. It will give you exclusive right to this logo, to this brand for up to 10 years, and then you renew every 10 years. Patents and utility models, you only register once, and that is it. Utility model, industrial designs, you register for 5 years, and then you repeat for up to 3 other times. So this one is 10 years to infinity. So you and your descendants will be protecting it for life. Examples of Kenyan brands that we've gotten violated. We had somebody come with Jetepa. I don't know how maybe, I don't know if there's an accent name or what is it, but again, it's Ketepa. We've seen Nivea and Nivelline. We've also seen Samsung and Samsung. Tumeona? Yeah? Yeah, we have Weetabix and Multibix. Almost identical in terms of look and feel. So the other benefits that trademarks will give you is, of course, it will protect the traders or your business goodwill. It will also protect consumers from being confused. Yeah? So they're trying to decide, is it Samsung or Samsung? Which one is the original? When you're trying to buy phones in the market and so on. It will also prevent free riding because there are organizations that will ride on that name. You can see Sony and SQ, and it's like you might not see the O and you assume the Q is the O. Yeah? And create some level of order. Okay? So, which of your businesses fit into the brand of a trademark? Well, Nona, you can register a trademark. How many of you think that what you have in your organizations has a trademark? Guys, after that entire explanation, none. These tables, you have no logos, business names, none, nothing. Yeah? Here. No, but I can see the numbers have gone down. So what we need to think about is every business, as long as it's consumer facing or customer facing, you need what? At the very least, you need a trademark. Any other can become an add-on. Now, you've decided, listen, I don't feel this IP. Why? Remember when I said about patents, you have to disclose, yeah? But if I disclose, my competitors will see and they will copy after the 20 years lapse or create something slightly different to get a competitive edge. So the next best option is trade secrets. So these are IPs that you don't have to protect by registering, but you protect in other ways. Case in point, Coca-Cola. How many of you know the formula for Coca-Cola? If you know the formula for Coca-Cola, so that we can start a business with you. If you know the business of KFC chicken, I mean the recipe. If you use Listerine mouthwash, if you know the recipe, maybe you even don't know your grandmother's favorite chicken recipe. A chicken soup recipe. Yeah? So it could be a trade secret she's keeping from you. But trade secret protects through confidentiality. So within your organization, you have to have a confidentiality agreement or a very high level NDAs, and you also need to limit who has access to this information. Okay? So you need to make sure whether you have encryption, you have high level access for this information, or you take reasonable steps to make sure that this is not taken. A good example of a case is EABL and Castle Breweries. Now, young people, once upon a time in 1999, you're probably not born, but an EABL employee left and went to a competing company, told them, listen, I know the entire recipe of this Tusker, my country, my beer. So if I give it to you, what am I getting into it? They were like, you know what? Yes, we want it. So of course they got it. And then they created something. But because the employee had signed a high-level confidentiality agreement on that trade secret, when they went to court, both the citizen beer and the employee, of course the castle breweries and the employee were heavily fined. Okay? Now a similar example happened in the 1950s, I think, where a Coca-Cola employee went to Pepsi. Said, listen, I'll give you that which Coca-Cola uses to make its product work, okay? The difference between Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and the EABL Castle Breweries is Pepsi went to Coca-Cola and told them, listen, your employee is doing this. So they both took a case against the employee. It's maybe a question of integrity. Because Pepsi and Coca-Cola, while they are competing brands, they understand the value of this. A good example of I mentioned Listerine mouthwash. So this was invented by a doctor called Dr. Lawrence in 1881. He went on to sell it. Actually, he sold it to an organization called Lambert. Then he decided he wants to recreate it again, of course, using another name. But since he had already sold it, they went to court and he was found you can't sell and tried to replicate it in another method. So he lost it. So when you sell a trade secret, even though it's a trade secret, you sold a brand. You see, it's literally still an IP that you can sell. You cannot now come and purport. If you sold your chicken recipe to me, Please don't go and create another brand. If you, it can yangu ni yangu. So of course, currently, right now, it's owned by Johnsons and Johnsons. The other ways in which you look at IP, you've seen Java House. This is a franchise as of now. Started as a coffee house that has grown into something else. So when you own IP, there's more ways than just owning IP. I have missed one or two IPs in these slides, and I'll just mention them in a bit. But you will find them in that book. The one being copyright. How many of you are creating products that are software driven? Now, 98% of your softwares belong to the class of copyright. So you own the code, you can protect the code. A good example of licenses you own, Microsoft. Any of you using Microsoft softwares? Any of you using a Microsoft software? Good. AutoCAD, Adobe, all these things. They work so hard to protect their copyright. So if they see you infringing on their licenses, yeah, it becomes a huge issue. So why are you not? Now, all these other IPs are very expensive to protect. It will take you at least maybe 500K to $1 million to have your patent ready to the market. It will take you, I promise you, at least 2,000 Kenya shillings for you to have a copyright. Let that sink in. How much? Or even free. If you have a code and it's working and it's ready to the market, I can bet you in 2 weeks you can have a copyright certificate that you didn't pay much, and you can go and have conversations and tell them we own the copyright to this software, okay? Sawa. And then you negotiate with your investors. So you will no longer come and tell your investors, I'm afraid of you taking it from me. Or when you're pitching, because what will have happened? You will tell them we have a copyright. The other IPs, what you do is you file the IP. And then you have, if it's for a patent, you have a patent pending. How many of you have seen on Shark Tank someone says we have a patent pending? Okay, 2 of you watch Shark Tank. That's good. So you have a patent pending. So a patent pending is enough to say our patent application is on the process. It is going through the different stages, which then allows you, as long as your patent application has been accepted, it allows you to go back and now have conversations about it. So copyright is one. The other IP that I may not have mentioned is plant breeders variety. Anyone in the agricultural space? If you're inventing around products that are plant driven, I'll ask a good question. Who has eaten an apple for the last 6 months? At least an apple in the last 6 months or 12 months? No, who has eaten an authentic Kenyan apple? Which apple? Which apple? If you've consumed a Kenyan apple, what's the name of the apple? Who's heard of an apple called Wambogo apple? Good. So Amze decided to invent or to create his own variety of apple, yeah, by breeding 2 versions of apple and created that third one. Of course, for the longest time, he didn't know that there was an IP in his brand. The beauty of it is his kids were allowed in marketing it until Kefis came and told them, listen, there's an IP here, we can help you protect, and then you can exploit it. So you find a lot of things. Those who are planting maize back at home, or your folks are planting maize back at home with Syngenta and beans and whatnot, you find some of these things have a plant patent or food patent. In most cases, that's what we call a plant breeders variety. It's also protected by KEFIS. Copyright is by Kekobo. There are only 2 IPs that are not protected by KIPI. Copyright and the plant breeders variety. So those are the IP types. Any question on the types of IP? Now, if you want to consume more information about the types of IP, You will take a minute, you will go online, you will download, are you typing? A book called The Innovator's Guidebook for IP. You can say Kenya. It is a free book. You will not read now, you read later, but I just want to make sure that you've downloaded it. If you find it, let me know. Innovator's Guidebook for IP, someone has found it? It is free. 2 people have found it. Who has found it? Okay, the people at the back. Hey, I'm glad the people at the back are that active. Okay, someone in the middle has found it. Any other person who's found it? All right, mbele mmeanza kuonyeshana. Hii upande I can see. Have you guys found it? On this side? Innovator's Guidebook for IP, we found it. There are people whose Wi-Fi is struggling, but we allow. By show of hands, if you have it. Let me see. Let me see how many have it. All right. So for those who've not found it, you will share during your bus trip back home. So I am moving on to the next one, which is now that you've protected your IP, how do you make sure you make money out of it? Somebody asked me about valuation there. I don't know whether you are asking me about valuation. Now I'm coming into this conversation. So there are 4 main ways in which you protect you make money out of it. The first one, and I've given a good example, Microsoft licenses its product. Sindio? So licensing is a good example. It exists not just for softwares, but it exists for anything else. Meaning, if you see what Unilever does, every region almost has its own brand of a Unilever. If it's Nivea, you find Nivea. So it could have an entity or a brand that says, we will sell Nivea in this region. We can either use the same brand as Nivea, or we can call it a brand that makes sense in this region. Okay. So that is licensing. It could be for a specific region, for a specific period. So license doesn't just have to be subscription. It could also be a proper conversation. Number 2 is franchising. So franchising especially exists for small businesses. Most of the time, what we call the family businesses or family entities, where you come in and say, listen, I run a beauty shop, or I run a cosmetic shop, or I run a furniture shop, or I run a coffee shop. Now, how I've done it, it is such a well-oiled machine that it can be replicated and owned by other people, and they can run it. Case in point, we have, let's say you're getting into the hotels, the Hilton hotels. They don't have to come and fully build in your space, but they can license you to run the Hilton hotel on their brand, on their version, using their brand, and they get something out of it. Now, good example that I mentioned of a brand in Kenya that has successfully done a franchise is Java. They even have Java Express nowadays. Have any of you consumed coffee from Java? Good. Now the third one is merchandising. Anyone wearing a merchandise from their institution? I can see IZ. Which one is that? All right, inshallah. Any other? So I can see IZ. Any other? Okay, so just one. Zitech should clearly give you something from it, because, but also look at some of, for the others who are branded. Whatever it is that you're wearing, you went and bought a t-shirt maybe somewhere. It has a brand, yeah? Some of it have polos, like I can see like the horses and whatnot. The Ralph Lauren's and the likes. Those are merchandise. So you can also create a merchandise out of your brand, yeah? Yeah, so that's why you find t-shirts with Tusker, t-shirts with, if you all take a trip to Harvard, you've seen those Harvard t-shirts and Stanford t-shirts, they almost got which hoodie, yeah? And it's also a good way of brand, so merchandising. And then the third or the fourth one is assignment or transfer. That's when you sell your IP. Okay, so we'll start with licensing. So the owner of the IP, who is the licensor? Okay, let me use better words than before I make it technical. The owner of the IP will give the other use of IP either They retain their own IP. I mean, in normal cases, they retain their IP and they to one help them gain streams. Two, help them get into territorial expansion. You want to go into Uganda and you're in Kenya, so you don't have to go to Uganda. Have somebody go run the Uganda with your brand. Three, it will benefit from another manufacturing or distribution or sales and marketing. The fourth one is sometimes the strategic partnerships, and I'll show you a good example of it. This is an example of a patent where we say, okay, we've given you a license within Kenya, we've given you exclusive license, we've given you the patent to use it and the know-how. For this amount of money, we will get this royalty. You'll get these slides, no worries. So there are other ways in which you can get things. I've mentioned franchising. I don't want to get into too much of franchising, but I want to mention on the third thing of merchandising. Now, a couple of years ago, I don't know any of you who chewed gum that had this cartoon. Who remembers? Yeah. Now at least now I'm coming to a generation. Good. So this was a partnership between the Cartoon Network, or the time Warner, and Kenafric. Okay. And there are other brands that come. So the Ben 10 collections was mean it was not just the toys, but it also went into these bubble wraps and the others. Then another types of IP is brand extension. So that is when you use a certain brand, let's say Blue Band, which is well recognized. It has margarine, and we also decide to have Blue Band salt. So the salt we write on the brand Blue Band. If you look at this Duracell, the small ones were a good example. I mean, this is the Duracell batteries. So along the way, they created a Duracell energy drink. You may not have come across it, or you did. Who did? Yeah, it existed back in the days when batteries were a real thing. Yeah, till you ruined it with technology. But they had an energy drink. And you can see it looks like you would almost confuse it with this one. No, that's how you do brand extension. So IP, this is why I keep saying, IP is not legal, it is not technical, it's about your business. It's how much, what else can you think about your business? So think about it, think about what exactly you're doing. How can you create a brand if it's already doing very well and you want to create a second brand? There's somebody who was talking about creating another brand, another product riding on the previous product. If the first one was very successful, try and align the two. Now, look at the laptops you guys are having. Who owns the sound that is there? I'm sure some of them have been written. Yeah? Who has a laptop that has the owner of the sound name written there? Check your laptops. Anyone? Okay, what name is there? Sorry? Do we have a mic near you? Let's hear that.
Bang and Olufsen. Bang and Olufsen.
All right, so that's Bang. If you notice, the two are riding on the others. So if you really trust that sound, and you look at that Mac or that laptop, that's a HP. Then they tell you, for you using this brand, you're using the best sound because you trust the sound. You'll find some cars will also have Bose. Sindio, that's what you call. So there's a way you can license a brand sound. A good example is obviously all your computers or most of your computers have the Intel. You can see Intel inside. Yeah, that's a good example. Also, can I surprise you for those who are competitors of Samsung and iPhones? Who makes the Samsung screen? Sorry, who makes the iPhone screens? Yeah, so next time, please, don't tell us, oh, we are superior font. If you can't make your own screens. All right. All right. Yeah, good one. So now, if you are doing a trademark or a brand and you want to put value into it, you can. Now, this is me testing your age and also seeing how much value you can. Who remembers this specific brand of cowboy? If you grew up with it, let me see. And good, good, good. As it looks, not as it looks now. Kimbo, as it looked. Ninaona. Blue band, as it looked. Yeah? Yeah? So around this time in 2002, that is how fast time flies. Uh, these brands, these Bitco brands were owned by Bitco oil refineries. They sold to Unilever for 110 million. Okay? See the brands? Can you see their trademarks? They even have trademark numbers. Then they went on board in 2010. They sold the same for $1 million valuation. I mean, for $1 million for this is how much it was sold. The valuation was higher, but they sold to a Mauritius company. I mean, $1 million is almost similar. Slightly, at that point in time, I think the valuation was slightly higher. I don't think they fully sold it. The first time it was acquired, the second one it was partly sold. Okay. Now, during this time, and before that, this had been, in fact, in the period between 1996 and 2013, Bitcoin had shifted hands 3 times. Each time, there was a separate sale and the trademarks were sold. But if you noticed, if these trademarks did not exist, would it have been easy to sell them? So each of these trademarks had to be valued. Now, did any of you notice when the trademarks were being sold? Did any of you notice that Bitcoin changed hands? Chances are you didn't, yeah? But they keep changing hands because what you own is an IP that you can sell, right? So do not fall in love with your IP and you say it has to be mine. You remember when I started saying let the IP be owned by the company, then you own the shares in the company so that when you need to value and sell, you have something serious to sell. So these are the brands that moved on, of course. You can also decide contract manufacturing for those who are doing products. Now, if you look at, these are the designs. This is the shape of Coca-Cola bottle that has changed hands over time. The first trademark was registered in 1978. At that point in time, it was registered as a trademark. Over time, we've improved to have utility industrial designs, but Coca-Cola still remains to be protected by a trademark because of when it was registered at that point in time. So nothing has changed it, and it's changed over time. So some of these products have existed for years, as you can see. We didn't know, we were not born, our parents were not born. But these brands have been built over years. So whatever it is that you're building, you're not building for yourself, you're building for longevity. So make sure that you own IP and you value IP. But IP alone will not guarantee you any success. So you have to think through other ways of doing it. Now, I just want to leave something before I'm almost done, in fact. I want to leave something before I exit, and I want to give a good example of other ways you can do business. How many of you, and I've used this example before, but how many of you have consumed medicine called Panadol? Good. Now keep your hands up still if you have consumed Panadol Extra. Now maintain your hands if you've then gone on to use Panadol Advance. Good. So why? You see how people play with brands? So Panadol is registered as a patent. After 20 years, it expires, yeah? But you want to keep the brand within you. So every time they change something about the composition before the 20-year lapse. So the clock, by the time the clock strikes midnight on the 20th year, they have filed for the second patent and gotten a new patent, yeah, that has something extra, okay? And so on and so forth. So by the time the Panadol Extra or the Panadol Advance, the latest one, expect Panadol Extra Advance Square. I don't know. Now, this is a loophole that I'm giving every inventor and innovator in the room. Patents exist for 20 After that, what happens? They are open source, which means when you're inventing and innovating, some of the places you need to go and look at those patents that have X. That's what China does. Sometimes we want to invent something new, and sometimes what you're inventing exists and you could just add to it. Sindio? So China is the world's largest patent owners. We talk about reverse engineering. What you don't realize is they literally just look at the patent existing and they build on them. So what else can you do? Really, what you're building, is it really new? Is it really, really, really new? It could have some extent of newity, maybe 50%, but there's a 50% that you could learn from something that existed, and the only thing could be go through it and see what you can get out of it. So just to refresh your mind, there are different types of IP. The first one is patent. How you do it, it's new invention, you register your patent. The second one is a utility model. Again, also new invention. You protect through registration. The third one is an industrial design. It's appearance of products. You register through protection. Then we go to trademark. That is your brand and appearance through protection. Then you get to trade secrets, which is valuable information that you don't want to keep. And you do it through confidential agreements or NDAs. Of course, we have copyright, which exists as original creatives. Things like books, movies, photographs, softwares, yeah, TikTok, your tweets, all these are copyrights. They exist automatically, meaning you don't have to register them. But if you need to register, you do it through Kekobo. In most cases, they are free of charge. But if you need something fast tracked, it's 2,000. It is online. Go to the Kikobo portal. You don't need to visit them. They exist online. You open the portal, you register, and you can upload your documentation there. It has very clear guidelines and all that. And the final one is plant breeders' rights, and I mentioned through KEFIS. So I'll take you quickly back into the Mentimeter. If we could use in a bit. So far, are we okay? Is it less technical than the morning session or more technical? It's less, eh? All right. So we can get into the Mentimeter. I think it should be the slide next to you. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, let's just use that. All right, so this is where we left with our Mentimeter. We asked which of these do you think you might be able to protect using IP? Most of you said my product design or appearance. Now, we'll start with my product name and logo. Is the answer yes? The code still remains the same, 75, 67, 42, 18, if you haven't logged in. So can you all now register? So the majority of you said a unique method or process, sorry. Yeah? Others said my app or software. I think now by then, you know your software, you register it as a copyright. Then my product design or appearance, you know you protect it now as an industrial design, your business idea or know-how. Most of the time, that's a trade secret, okay? I think the numbers are still coming up. I want us to wrap this up and tell me what's one risk you see in not protecting your idea. In 1 or 2 words, what is that risk you're seeing in your business for not protecting your idea? I'll give you, one is theft, piracy, loss. First of all, if you're saying piracy and some of you are also the pirates of movies, the pirates of softwares and books, how many pirates do you have in the room? Yeah, so in the process of being a pirate, yours might also go in. We have theft is majority, duplication. I think you can keep scrolling down. theft, cloning, piracy, theft, duplication. I think it's it's very clear what's happening. Over competition, loss of potential, no risk. I'm smart. Ooh, nice. Somebody is smart. All right. Now, what's the one action you will take on your IP in the next 30 days? We are living here with a commitment. Sindio? So what is that one action you will take in the next 30 days? Let's see it. Hi. Okay, we said hi, everyone, so we have to say hi. So someone says we'll file it. Register. Register is coming on board. All right. At least we have people greeting us. Someone says we'll continue to learn more about IP. Commercialize. We have some laughter here. Yeah. What? There's one who's stealing, thieving. I mean, is that what? I would like to make it very clear, Yvonne. I did not teach how to steal. Someone says commercialize. Good. Someone says we come back tomorrow. It's a Sunday. Really, you guys are not tired. Create awareness. I like that. So the book that you got, okay, startup and the legit ways of doing it. So the book that you got, I hope you've all been able to download it. It is not just for you to download and keep it on your laptops and your phones. Read it and then share. So are there any club leads? I'm sure you're all into club leads. One time, wait. I would like to make sure that I'm still alive tomorrow. So anyway, are there any club leads here? Isaac and the likes, you're there. Okay, I can see a couple of them. Please make this part of your clubs. Yeah? Make sure that even those that are not there are good. So cameraman, you've been given a good shout out here. So you're doing well. Those of us who are thieving, let's try to do less of that. But anyway, it's been good. It's been an amazing period of time and a good day. Do we have a burning question before I step out? Wow. Yvonne, do you have time for 2 questions before I drop out? 2 questions and then we are out. All right, we have the lady in red. And then we have one more question, the gentleman there. I don't know whether I answered your question. And then we have one question at the back, then we can wrap it up. I think they have it. Yes. Guys, for one time, I think we can still keep them coming.
Yes. Okay. The camera. Okay. Point in case when you said about the example with Bata and other company,
Yeah.
and then you said other companies out of Kenya
Yeah.
were already doing it. That takes me back to the question of when you are patenting maybe your process,
Yeah.
does it necessarily have to be you're the very first person doing it, or it could have been possibly done in another country, let's say SA, and then you want to patent it here?
Yeah. Okay, so they normally do exclusive search. But let me respond to that once I get to other questions. I think we have a question there in the extreme back. So I'm going to respond to both. We have a question at the extreme back, and then I'll do one more here. No. I'm doing it.
Okay. My first question that I asked during in the morning, I wanted to know how can you tell the value of your patent when you are getting into a partnership with someone? And then the second question that I have a product here. That's shoe polish. And I posted it on WhatsApp the other day to get some feedback. And I have some Kenyan flag in the trademark. And now someone told me that you are not allowed to use the Kenyan flags in your product. Is that so, or just rumors?
All right, that's a good one. And the final one, I'll respond to the two. Guys, can we stop with one time? before before Yvonne kicks us out. Anyway, all right. So we have the final question and then we close up.
Yeah, my question is about enforcing IP. What are the modalities, especially in Kenya, about enforcing IP? I mean, if I realize somebody else somewhere is already using something that I've patented, do I have a right to? Okay, what are the steps when it comes to enforcing IP? Because we know that's a common issue.
All right. I know we didn't get into the enforcement bit. Sorry, I think our time today is also slightly limited. So I'll just respond to, in terms of valuation, we may not have gotten into it, but the way you value a brand is, first of all, it's the same thing that Sam was responding here. Um, whatever protection you're having for a patent, it exists for 20 years. So you have to do, if it's a patent, you have to calculate how much would you get over the next 20 years in terms of royalties and all that. Two is you can value based on what else is happening within the market. Then in terms of enforcement, there's so many ways of doing enforcement and they exist in the books that you are in. And I think we need to move on because you guys are focusing more on the screen than on me. Yeah, so there are many ways in which you enforce within the space. And one of them obviously is cease and desist. So if you find somebody infringing in what you're doing, send them a cease and desist letter. We have a lot of dispute resolution mechanism that exist even for Kekobo and Kipi and the likes. Three, if it all fails, you go to court. A good example of somebody whose IP was infringed was a good example of an organization whose IP was infringed was obviously Bupas. I think you saw, I don't know whether Bupas were here. For those of you who came for the Startup Festival, they were the winners of the World Cup. But Bupas won in 2024 a case against trademark infringement because they'd protected their trademark in 2017. Somebody created something called Bus Bus. The same way you have Red Bull Deaders, yeah, Dead Bull. So they did the same, they infringed, but Bupas sued and successfully got 10 million awarded for them and Bus Bus was stopped. So there are various ways in which you do protection and that's just one of them. And I've forgotten what that question is. But I think hopefully the book that I've shared with you will, the logo for Kiwi. So no. You cannot protect something with the Kenyan flag. It is not yours, and it's a national symbol. You'd have to create your own logo and branding out of it. So there are certain things that are restricted that you cannot protect. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. I will pass this. I know there are burning questions. Yvonne needs to take us to the next session. Yeah.
My last question is, so let's say after 20 years, I do not renew the IP and somebody registers something similar in a different country. And in that scenario, will I still have the patent or will I lose it? My question is, if I file a patent, but after 20 years, let's say I forget about it or something goes wrong that I do not file it immediately again, and somebody else in another country files the patent. In that scenario, who does the patent belong to?
So after 20 years, your patent expires. It's no longer yours to own. It is fair use. A good example, have you all used Amoxil? Now you've bought Amoxil Original. Has your parents sent you to buy Amoxil Original over the generic one? So generic means it is now open source. We can all copy and paste Amoxil and create our own versions. So when you hear original, it is the original patent owner. But after 20 years, it is no longer exclusive use. So anyone can use it. Unlike a trademark where you have to renew every 10 years, your patent exists once. So I've given an example of how Panadol does it. Before the lapse of the 20 years, they'll do something different, yeah, to their product to have the Panadol Extra and the Panadol Advance. So it's also a structure for you. I know we have so many questions, but we won't finish. Nimeona mnataka tumalize usiku, but I don't think that is I don't think that is the question. I'm still here for further questions. Yeah, let's and you can also find me at Anza Village. But guys, let's give an opportunity for the next speaker so that we get into it. I know it's exciting, but yeah.
Guys, please clap for Wangeshi. She's done an awesome job. I know we have many questions still. Please find her at Anza Village. She and her team will be happy to respond to you. Every time we have Wangeshi, we always think we have a lot of time, and then we always run out of time. So I think it's a good thing. It means there's a lot of interest in matters legal. All right, so for our final speaker, I want to invite a young man called Joseph to come up to the stage while I do a quick intro. And maybe the tech team can also pull out his presentation. Clap for him as he comes up. Let me tell you why you should clap for him. Joseph Nguthiru is a climate tech engineer passionate about sustainability and transforming livelihoods through positive impact. The Presidential Awardee for Best Innovator in Kenya. If you have not received a Presidential Awardee as Best Innovator, please clap for him. His works include designing the solar dryer being used to revive the country's pyrethrum farming in a circular economy startup called Higher Park, which I think is what he's going to share with us today, that makes biodegradable plastic products from water hyacinth, the world's most problematic aquatic weed. Joseph too is a co-founder at MC2, a startup that leverages AI as an early warning system for deforestation, wildfires, and charcoal burning. Joseph's roles include being a co-founder, engineer at Afroclimate, a 501, what is this? I don't know what 501 means, Joseph. Nonprofit that empowers African entrepreneurs to tackle climate change. Joseph is an Obama leader and part of 40 Under 40 Africa. Please welcome Joseph to the stage. Karibu sana. So what we'll do with Joseph, sorry. Welcome. I hope your mic works. So what we'll do is Joseph will take us through a few slides just to give you an overview of himself, what his startup is about, and some tips. And then we'll ask him a few questions, and then we can call it a day. Sounds okay? All right. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's better. I was actually so much enjoying the previous session that I didn't want to come on stage, and I was like, wow, that's so good. So my name is Joseph Gudhiri. You've had a bit of intro about me. By God's grace, I wear several hats, but today I'll be talking about one specific one because I was asked to. A few years ago, I was seated in a place like you are seated, but Kenya had like really amazing stuff that got me to where I am. And they asked me to come and speak to you about the journey, how it's been and everything else. And that's what I hope I'm going to do, and I hope I'll do it justice. And then after that, you can have a bit of Q&A. Yes, that's my picture, that's me. And that's a bit about it. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll give you my experience. I'll tell you what's good, what works, what doesn't work, what we tried, where we failed, the scars we got, and how we've moved on from that. So the expectation is, like where you are, I was having lunch with a really wonderful table, and the expectation that all these young people have is that you're gonna just go smoothly on that trajectory. Life is gonna be good. But that's not the reality. Kwa ground vitu ni different. You're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna be, the streets are not so good. So, yeah, that's the thing. So, but don't you worry, we're here. So what we do at Higher Park is that we transform this weed called water hyacinth into biodegradable packaging. And the use cases are used for seedling wrappers, parcel packaging, packaging bags, and so on. So we have a big user case, courier services, companies like DHL, government institutions, and so on. They're getting to use our products for sustainability and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you how we got here. Is there anyone from Egerton? or Egerton? Oh, I'm the only one in the room. Okay. So I went to Egerton University and I studied water and environmental engineering. And that's a photo of us, my classmates and I, stuck in Lake Naivasha because of water hyacinth, and the other people are fishermen. And I come from Nairobi, born and raised in Nairobi. This is not something that I'm used to. So um, being there in that scenario, in that situation, I was like, what if we did something about this water hyacinth? What if we were creative about it? And for our final year project, we decided, let's do something. So I went back to my lecturers and asked them, are you open to the idea of me using this thing for studying, just a random thing for our final year? And that's the thing. So we did something. And that thing that we did, in my opinion, it was like kind of really bad, but the whole world liked it. We made products for presentation just so that you can get marks, nimalize shule nitoke. But they had, oh sorry, I was told there were non-Kenyans here. Translation means that I was just trying to get minimum viable marks, go on with life. But that's what happened. Then we left school. But just before I left school, this thing happened. Kenya came, they had this Kenya Innovation Week. It was a really nice moment. We were asked to exhibit with the universities, same thing you're doing, blah, blah, blah. We were there with our small display, those shitty products I'm talking about. And they liked it. We got that award. And those are my lecturers, our dean, they were very happy. Some students I saw there for the first time in that day, it was called and then they came to the stage so that you can have a photo with them and the PS. It was really cool. And that, that thing, just so you know, I didn't carry it, so Kenya still has it. And then a key moment happened a week later. The president had this project. He was launching this. I saw what you did in the previous slide, so I don't have a Mentimeter, so you won't be able to do that on this one. So he was launching this project of planting trees, and this 15 billion tree project that we're having, Jazamiti thing. So he has it, and then he calls us. Hapo kwa meza, we have a little bit of hyacinth. We don't even have a lot of it. And he's really proud of our products. He holds them like that, posts them on his social media. But there's a thing, when the president posts you on his social media, your life changes. I'll tell you that for sure. People start wondering who you are and everything else. When you repost it, you retweet it, long lost cousins come and they're like, hey, niaje. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Trust me, it's a thing. And then everyone imagines that you've been given millions by the president because you shook his hand. It doesn't work. This is how we are doing right now. The first two, those images that's CNN and BBC featuring us this year. That's Obama Foundation, which I'm part of. President Obama writing about us. That photo on the middle, the United Nations, that one was posted yesterday by UN and then Nature Biotechnology. So we've been all around. We've been doing all this kind of stuff. And that's the thing. We started the way you are, where you are, seated where you are, under the same banner of Kenya and all that kind of stuff. We are currently going to take over the world, and that's what I believe. So, but the thing is, it's not been a bed of roses. Anyone who told you that it is going to be easy lied to you. Because number one, fundraising is not also easy. What people will tell you, the truth is, they'll say that Africa or Kenya has been given, I don't know how much amount for startups, but then you go there, you try, you'll be either told you are either too good or you are either too early and you don't fit in our portfolio. That's all the kind of stuff we're looking for. And be ready for disappointments, be ready for rejections. I'm just telling you the truth. Been there, done that, felt that, moved on. If you thought heartbreaks are hard, try it from VCs and venture capitalists. It's difficult. So the photo I put on that side, how many know that photo? If you've seen that photo before? Yeah, I see only one person. So that's the richest man on earth, Elon Musk, staring on his rocket. After his rocket, SpaceX, there was the third launch failed, and he literally almost became bankrupt. Everything didn't used to work for him. Tesla was not working, SpaceX was not working, nothing was working for him. And that's a photo of a man on his lowest moment in life, and today he's right now fighting with the president of the US. So yeah, that's how much you can grow. So the other thing also about it not being a bed of roses in this startup world is corporate relationships and reputation. That's something that you have to guard with your life. And the reputation is what comes to mind when people hear about you, or when people hear about your project, or when people hear about your startup. Um, we've been in a position where you can hear a lot of innovations that people are trying to do, but they are not actually solving problems that Kenyans or Africans are facing. We have too many problems, you know, our populations are rising and so on. So, yeah. For us, R&D has been a challenge, I'll be honest with you. You see, we are trying to do something scientific here, trying to extract cellulose out of some invasive weed, trying to make it a plastic. It's literally almost an impossible process. But it is something that we're trying to do. We've done it, been there, done that. R&D is going to be a challenge. If you're going to do the manufacturing way, technical way, research-based projects, be ready for it. Hiring and team and the expectations that come from it. I've had you being told about it here. The only thing I'll add on it is that before you are ready to onboard a partner, a co-founder, a teammate, an employee, whatever you want to call them, be ready to first prepare the divorce papers. Okay? Yeah, because you don't wish for it, but you might be there. You might be at a point where you're like, this was a good run, let's part ways. So you must be having the divorce papers first prepared mentally in mind in a situation whereby if these people left, your employee or your co-founder or whoever else, life will still go on. The other thing they don't tell you is about work-life balance. No, that thing doesn't work exactly when you're running a startup. You will be working on Sundays, you'll be working on Saturdays, you'll be working overnight, and people expect you to deliver. You'll have to do something about it. Users and customers, I'll talk about that. So let me ask you, will anyone work for this company? For year 1 to year 15, they've had like constant growth, just constant. Nothing going up, nothing going down. How many will work for this company? By a show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So only 5 people out of you will work for this company. But here's the thing about it. This company is NVIDIA. For the first 15 years, they were constant. Then all of a sudden they rose. And if you were to study anyone under the history of entrepreneurship, please study the story of Johnson Hung, the founder of NVIDIA. These guys have risen for 354, 200%. You know, that's not even a mathematical number in percentages. You know, it's a mathematical error. And that's how much the company has risen. But for the first 15 years, what you didn't see, the people were building. And that's what I'll tell you. Don't be afraid to build. Don't be afraid to take your time and make a really good product. Because when the right time comes, the world will come knocking at your door to ask for it. These guys were making semiconductors when nobody else in the world was interested in it. Then AI came, and then all of a sudden they were shooting. And now robotics are coming, and they're going to go much further up. So whatever you're building in secret, at one point or the other, be persistent, be consistent, it's going to come up. I hope you can see that. So here's what you're generally assumed that you should be knowing, that you probably don't know, but that you should know, and that I didn't know, but I was supposed to know, and I didn't know, but now I know, and I'm still trying to learn. So number one is that relationships run the world. The person you're seated next to is either going to be your colleague, your competitor, or something like that. And the relationship that you're going to have with them is going to determine how you're going to be. Funders don't fund you because they've seen a really good pitch deck. They'll fund you because of the relationship that you're going to have with them. They're going to be able to pick up your call, answer your email, and so on. The same for employees and everyone else. It's because of that. Number two thing that we've learned in this short time we've been doing this is that history does not repeat, but human nature does. Every given time, if you build a product or you build something that people will go for it. People have always wanted products that are cheaper. People have always wanted products that are going to align to their self-beliefs and so on. And that's the thing. Number three is called kujichocha. Belief comes before ability. Manze, you have to trust in yourself. If you don't trust in yourself, you don't believe in yourself, the world will not believe in you. If you're trying to build a new product, if you're trying to come up with a new thing, you're trying to patent, you're trying to IP, whatever you think, the world won't believe in you if you don't first believe in yourself, okay? Never lose that. Number four is obvious. Number five is a bit obvious as well. I don't know if you can see at the back. I hoped so, but yeah. Number six, watch your costs, because costs determine how your businesses are going to run. Before you get into big time business, employing people, firing people, whatever you need to do, watch how much these things are going to cost you, because that then determines a lot of things. Keep things simple. Number eight, remember there is no substitute for hard work. As I mentioned, keep on building, be persistent, be consistent. It's going to take longer than you expect, but the reward will always come at the end. Okay? The world is always fair in that it's going to reward hard efforts. Number nine, the founder is the guardian of the company's soul. I learned this the hard way. If you let your employees or you let your co-founders who are not technical, if you're technical, that is, and you let them try and run with whatever you want to do, they won't have the same sense of urgency. They won't have the same sense of belief. They won't necessarily have the same mission and objectives that you have in your heart of the why you started this, that they won't have that. So that's something that you need to have. And that is the fuel that keeps the jet running when everything else seems to fail. And number 10, which is the most important thing that nobody else ever told me that I think you should know, and that is very important, you must obsess over your customers. Whatever thing you're doing, whatever thing you're having in mind, whether an idea, whether a product, whether a project, anything, obsess over the end user, obsess over the customers, because they are the ones who determine whether the businesses run or not. Good examples that have been here in the previous speaker is that you've seen what Apple does, you've seen what Mercedes do, IKEA, and so on. They obsess over quality, they obsess over the customers. Always, any decision you're making, always make it with the customer in mind. Always make it with the end user in mind, and your product won't fail. Lastly, nothing ever beats consistency. I can't repeat that enough. Thank you so much.
Testing. Yeah, good. All right. Thank you so much, Joseph. Please clap for him again. Give him a round of applause. Maybe you can have a seat. We can allow for a couple of questions anywhere you want. This is okay. All right. Do you guys have questions for him, or can I go fast? I can see 1, 2, 3. If you're ready with a question, just stand up. These I know people who are serious. My first question to you, and I think I just had you talk about this, is around partnerships. Has it been important? I had you talk about Kirdi. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about how partnerships have supported or not your journey as a startup founder, and what, if you have any word of advice around partnerships. Then I'll take the questions.
I feel comfortable in standing.
Stand. You can even move around.
Oh, good. So here's the thing about partnerships. Don't get into partnerships with anyone who you will not be proud of telling your grandmother about. Rule of thumb. I'll give you an example. So when we started this thing, good companies really came. Good on the size that they have the money and everything else, but not good on terms of reputation. And they asked us whether we'll be able to collaborate with them and whether we'll be able to work with them. But here's the thing. Anyone you onboard, anyone you come to, and anyone you work with, that's a risk. That's a reputational risk. And Warren Buffett, you guys know Warren Buffett? He says something very important. He tells his team that we can be able to lose money, a lot of money, but we can not be able to lose reputation, even a single shred of reputation. And that's the thing. So your reputation is what will define you in a room that you will not be in when people are talking about you. So you want to associate with yourself. You see, like I put the photo of somebody there who you had put in the other Mentimeter, and the room turned. People were starting to whisper, people started to, that's the power of reputation. That's the power of reputation. So, and the other thing about reputation is when you are hiring somebody, when you want to work with somebody, ask yourself this question before you hire them. Ask yourself, if the roles were reversed and this person is your boss, will you be comfortable working for them? If the answer is no, then don't hire them. If the answer is yes, then probably hire them. Thank you. No, please stand. Please stand.
Okay, I'm Abraham, and I've sat in some congregation that you have addressed, including some symposium at Took, and
Thank you.
you also met at Kirdi.
Thank you so much.
You inspire me a lot, Joseph.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So this week I was at home to attend the World Environment Day, and I'm happy. I once shared your post on my Facebook account, and my dad read about what you do. So
Whoa.
so I do shoe polish that I have here, and we were trying to figure out if we can have some sustainable packaging around it. And now I was reaching out to know whether are you able to do some contract manufacturing to produce some eco-friendly from the water icing that you do for my shoe polish. Just that. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Maybe I can answer that very fast. I've never tried anything about shoe polish, but I'm so sure we can do something. And even if we don't, or even if we can't, we have a lot of friends. You guys know Ecobana? Yeah, they're also doing like really, really amazing things. Lennox and his team, we have really amazing people doing stuff on sustainability. And I'm happy to, if we do it, it's fine. If we can't, we link you up with like a whole friends, it's a whole circle of people who do all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm Onduso Chrysanthus, and my question is, I'll take you back to before you developed your project. Did you have like multiple? Because you said you did it because you wanted to finish and go finish your university here. But before you came up with the project, I bet you had like a couple. You had to brainstorm some stuff, and like in such a setting, you'll fall for anything or an idea that comes in your mind, and you feel I wanna solve this problem or start a startup because of this and that, but everything won't work or all that glitters, is it gold? And this time you just jump for what like glitters, like what mechanism, or did you first were you in that state where you had multiple things you were thinking of doing? Then how did you come to a place where you stopped at the water higher sea, then decided, what, I'm eliminating all these other things, let me focus with these, and that's what you build. Yeah.
Thank you. Really good question. So when we started, I told you we used to make shitty products, including what we presented to Kenya. So we thought that we could make everything out of hyacinth. So we started making what do you call this? Tumblers. You know the tumblers, like those plastic cups. We started making straws. We started making plates. We started making even wanted to make diapers. Like weird stuff. And we were all over the place trying to make. If you Google us, among the very, very first articles you're going to see, very, very old ones, not very old, a couple of years back, you're going to see like a lot of weird stuff that we used to do. And we thought that all of it was good. But here's the other thing, another thing that I learned, and I've learned in this journey that I will also highly ask you to do. What happened to us is that when the president was launching that project of planting trees, the 15 billion trees, we found our niche. We were like, people are using plastic, the plastic bags for seedling nurseries. You've seen them around, right? And nobody else is doing something else about it. So why can't we, or why shouldn't we do something about it? Mind you, we had zero patent, we had zero knowledge about all this kind of stuff, zero technical expertise. We were just people who had a lot. Again, belief comes before ability. So you believe in yourself, and then you're like, we can do this. Trial error. People don't even know what you're doing, but you still think that you know what you're doing. So you convince them that you know what you're doing, and they trust that you know what you're doing. Then eventually you know what you're doing. That kind of a thing. And when we did that, when we started making about this plastic, the packaging for trees, we were like, this is already a big market. 15 billion, 10 years, that's around 4.1 million per day. And that's enough. We don't need to make diapers, straws, plates, tumblers, all that kind of stuff. That's a lot, taking away focus from the most essential thing. So yeah, we had that focus, that period of trying to find out what works and what doesn't. And the advice I was telling you, I just promised you, is if you're going to make something, a project or anything, try as much as possible to align yourself with the government's mandates. This is why. So when Kibaki was the president, he had this thing of Vision 2030, right? You remember it? Vision 2030. And everything that the government had, the resources, the budget, the what do you call this? The ministries and everything, they were all aligned for Vision 2030. Then over that, then comes Uhuru. He comes, President Uhuru rather. He comes with the Big Four agenda, all this kind of stuff, manufacturing, all that, and then he aligns everything, the government's budgets and everything, to that. Now, right now we have this bottom-up economic model. And the thing is, if you ever align yourself with the government of the day, with anything that is going on, right now we have all these things that are going on. It's so simple. If you want to know what is going on in the country, simply listen to the speeches that are given during Madaraka Day, Jamhuri Day, and those kind of things. You'll get to know where the country is, where the country is going, how much money is being allocated in which kind of project, and that tells you if you're able to do it, to go into such kind of field, it's going to be easy for you. So for us, the ban on plastics, has something that has really motivated us. If we were in a country where people are not like minding about plastics and all that kind of stuff, then probably I wouldn't be here speaking to you. But simply because it's a government objective, it's an initiative, there's so much focus on it, so much attention going into it, that's why we found ourselves here. But that's the other thing. So please, as much as you might not like it, it would really pay to pay attention to what is happening in the newspapers. Thank you. Any question?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Howie. My question is a bit convoluted, so I hope you'll understand. Under the slide where you showed us the stuff that you're assumed to know, there was research and development and obsessing over the customer. Those are the ones that stuck out to me. Let's say probably what you're creating is a service that's obviously centered towards the customer themselves. They need it and they need to use it, so it's a symbiotic relationship. So your customer is at the same time your, they'll say, product. So you need their research, you need data from them. So how do you go about researching them while also obsessing over them? Because another quote that stuck with me from yesterday's session was, the customer doesn't know what they want. So how do you go about asking what they want, pleasing them, while also doing your research and collecting the necessary data? Thank you.
Good question. Thank you so much. There's a guy called Brian Chesky. How many know of him? 1, 2. So 3. Brian Chesky is the founder of Airbnb. To me, Airbnb is the best case textbook example of a successful startup. And the reason why is that Airbnb literally just convinces you to go and stay in somebody's home, somebody who's a stranger, and convinces a stranger that another stranger is coming to stay in your place, and you're very happy about it, and you give them 5 stars. That's so weird, you know? If you can copy that kind of a model where they obsess, just go and follow Brian Chesky on Instagram or his Twitter, see what it posts about, and see how he obsesses over the quality of stay that people have in Airbnb. He literally go to an Airbnb random. He'll book as if he's one of the customers, stay with a random home, listen to them, ask them questions. Always talk to your customers. Whatever thing you're doing, whichever industry, shoe polish, anything that you're trying to do, always talk to your customers. Because the thing is, if you know what your customers are doing and how they're using it. So I'll give you an example. I told you we are doing this thing for agriculture, for selling bugs. And then we realized that, actually, this is something that we realized like 2-3 weeks ago. We realized that one of the clients we are selling them to is taking up the packaging, ripping it open, and using it to wrap food. Fresh produce, rather. And they're using that to transport fresh produce, because in their own assessment is that they're using our products as, trying to remember the name for it, but they're trying to use our products so that they can be an insulator. The heat does not escape when they're transporting food. It was like, that's a really interesting use case. We had not designed our product to work for that, but that's something that we're willing to literally go and study and see how we can go about it. And that's the thing. So always talk to your customers, see how they feel when they're using your products. Why are they using it? Is it because they have no other alternative? And if they had any other alternative, they will jump into it. Are they using it because they feel pity for you? You're being a young founder? No, that's a use case, actually. Are they using your product because it's cheap? Are they using it because it saves them time, because it's a good quality, or so on? Once you can answer those questions, then you can sit down and design what you want to do and how you want to do it for them. Yeah.
Let me use yours. How I just want to add a quick thing to what you said, because I think that's a really good question about being obsessive. But how do you know what your customer wants is what you need to produce for them? So I think the more, this one is just going to be a practice thing and an experience thing. The more you talk to customers, so remember yesterday when we were doing empathy and we talked about what are they feeling, what are they doing, what are their pain points, how does it feel to be in their shoes? The interesting thing about human beings is when you're talking to them or observing, we said talk, we said observe, we said take surveys. So there are multiple ways of getting feedback. But what that multiple way, the multiple ways, what it does is you start hearing the why behind the why. So same thing for, if I come and say, my shoes are pinching me. So do you want to create for me a new type of shoe? Do you want to create for me an insole? Do you want to change my feet? Maybe give me a chair. Do you want to create socks? You get, can be a myriad of solutions, but the main point is always keep listening and start and be curious, keep probing, ask the why behind the why. Thanks. We have questions from this side. There's one there. Any other? We can take one more before we close. Sato.
Good afternoon, Marilyn. I'm just curious. I don't think you mentioned about the patent. Have you patented the extraction, the cellulose extraction? So is it specific to hyacinth? I can use it, like, could you maybe explain it? Thank you.
Yes, you can use banana fiber, you can use pineapples, you can use cotton, you can use coconut. I'm just giving you examples of things, and I will actually want you to get in the industry. We have such a really big use case, and we don't have enough people producing these things. And we just want the industry to grow. So when we started, I told you about our patenting story. We had no patent. I literally didn't. This is the other thing about school campus. You see, I've done 5 years of engineering, right? And like an extra year of COVID. And nobody hapo katikati, nobody else there. So sorry about the people can't hear Swahili. It's really a beautiful language. But nobody ever told me about, no class ever mentioned about patenting. They talked about calculus, geometry, all that kind of stuff, but nobody ever mentioned that. So when we finished and we were doing this project, so a little bit of backstory. After getting the marks I wanted from school, I went to work for L'Oreal. You know L'Oreal? Yeah, so I was kind of in the brand management for Nice and Lovely and Vassman. And my role simply entailed making sure that you guys buy Nice and Lovely and Vassman. So we changed the product of how Vassman looked like, Nice and Lovely, brought new packaging. You've seen the Kate Actress things. Yeah, that's what I used to do. And that's what I wanted to do. Corporate, going to that side and never, ever going back to engineering. But, streets are different. So I was there and everything else. But then we had done a video about this work, posted it on Twitter before Elon changed it to X. And it got to the right people at the right place. We got an award, so on. Kenya came, everything else. I quit L'Oreal to focus on this thing, and we got here. But the patenting journey was, even the time Kenya was giving me that award, and I was very happy with it, and those lecturers and everything, we had no patent. Kenya even didn't tell us that time. They hadn't organized something like this, which is really good about patenting and why it's important. It was up to IEK, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, who are like, dude, you're doing something and we think this is something. So talk to this person who's in Kipi. I didn't know even Kipi was. And they were like, this person can tell you something about patenting and why it is important and why you need to have a patent, because we don't want Kenyan brains to be diluted by so on. So I followed to the latter, what they were telling me, and that's how we got our patent. Provisional patent first. And then quite recently, we've had all these use cases. Then we had somebody who's like him coming to tell us we want you to do for us packaging for him. He wants shoe polish. But those people had a different kind of product, and they asked us, it's a German company. So can you make such kind of packaging? We were like, yes. Because Richard Branson says when anyone gives you a good opportunity that you're not sure of, you say yes. Then you figure out how. So he said yes without knowing the how. He said yes, went to ChatGPT, Google, didn't find an answer, but we tried. And finally we got something. And now they're at a point where they think that you can do a joint patent with them. And now that's what we're struggling with right now, because we are now trying to think tuaruke ama tukae fiti. I'm not telling you to do that, but it's still something that you might face in the industry down the line. And then you're like, if we work with them, if we patent with them, is it going to increase the brand value of what we have? Is it going to increase our market worth? If we, in case we want to raise from other investors, will they be comfortable funding us if we have this? Will these people be able to bring money in the table so that they can buy us out at some point? Those are some of the questions you need to ask for yourself if maybe you're going to some certain route like that. Thank you. Unless there's any other question, by the way. Thank you so much. Santi.
Thank you so much. He deserves a much better clap, guys. Thank you so much, Joseph. That was awesome. That was awesome. How's today? Good? Plus yesterday? Have you guys learned something? A lot of somethings? All right, we've come to the end of the University Student Mentorship Program. I want you guys to clap for yourselves for doing such an awesome job, paying attention and learning. All right, all right. Have you clapped for, I didn't hear. Have you clapped for yourselves? I was busy talking to Anita. All right, well done, well done. All right, so we want to bring this program to a close formally. We would like to take photos with you per university. So I'm thinking Anita will come and tell us which university goes first and then which other one. And then after that, we'll have tea. And then we hope that whatever you have learned in these 2 days, you will actually go and implement. Yes? 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 All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for cooperating, and I hope that when you go back to your universities, you share the knowledge, but also implement for those who are already innovating. I will call the first university. This is the first one that reached here today. USIU. Well, with the time that you arrived. So USIU first. We do a group photo for USIU, then ZTech, then DSTAR, then TUK, then Riara will be last.